Is he really going to sit out if they don't trade him? That said, do the Sixers really have an appetite to do this again? Does Joel Embiid really have an appetite to live this again? I'm kind of skeptical of that. We'll see. And think about James Harden just for a second, because he's, we're kind of poking at him a little bit. He turned down a 3-year, $160 million extension with the Brooklyn Nets.
I remember that.
Then he turned down a $47 million player option last offseason and re-signed for $35.
Yep.
So if he's mad, in his mind at least, he has some reason to be mad about the financial situation he finds himself in.
What are you mad at, though?
Himself, and he took less money so they could sign P.J. Tucker and Daniel House and all that. But what a life, though, to be frustrated, and your reaction to being frustrated is to guarantee yourself $35.6 million.
But you could look at it very differently, okay?
Season.
So the other thing the Sixers are doing right now is they're not going to proceed with an extension for Tyrese Maxey. They don't have to do anything with Maxey. He's under contract.
Yep.
He would just be a restricted free agent next year, so they don't have to do anything. But by not proceeding with an extension for Tyrese Maxey this summer, what they do is preserve potentially 2 max contract spots next summer.
Right.
Okay? James Harden, in a way, did them a favor by picking up his player option because he's now an expiring contract. Tobias Harris, now an expiring contract. Tyrese Maxey can get his deal whenever they get around to it, but they don't have to do it now. James Harden, depending on what happens with him this year, this is a huge growth year for Tyrese Maxey. This is a big opportunity for him. And the Sixers now have a lot of cap space going forward into next summer to build around Joel Embiid.
You just said the magic words, max slots, plural. And I think that is going to figure into their decision-making on a James Harden trade. And the name to watch there is Norman Powell with the Clippers, because he has 2 years left after this coming season at about $20 million a pop. If he were to come back to Philly, that eats into that cap space. Norman Powell's also a really good player. And on Philly's side, P.J. Tucker has an $11 million player option that they would probably like to move off of. So all of this stuff, the max slot thing, implicates who can go in and who can go out.
Let's bring in our front office insider, Bobby Marks, because when we're talking numbers, when we're talking who can join, who can leave, Bobby, what are the numbers behind this decision, Tyrese Maxey, that our Ramona Shelburne is reporting by the 76ers?
Malika, every free agent has what we call a cap hold, and it counts against team salary, even though you're not under contract. For Maxey, because he was the 21st pick in the draft, his cap hold next year is $13 million. So, for example, Philadelphia went out and extended Tyrese Maxey right now for 5 years, $207 million. His salary next year would be $35 million. They would lose $22 million right off the bat. So that's the reason why they are holding off right now. They have until October 23rd. Who knows? Maybe there's a trade that happens in the next couple months. October 23rd is the deadline for all rookies who are extension eligible. But it's certainly understandable when a player is picked in the 20s that you want to hold off on extending that player.
I completely agree with everything that is said but we also are talking about Maxey. Everyone on this board will say that he is one of the most important players to the future of the 76ers or the future to what their plans are. If I just average 20 points a game and I've gotten better every single year, and you're like, hey, we really want to hold off. I understand that this is about Joel Embiid. I understand that this is about James Harden. But for me individually, if I'm a 20-point-a-game guy and I've gotten better every year and they're like, we're going to hold off on your extension. I'm not saying that there's going to be bad blood, but it looks like the entire energy of the 76ers. Look at this man's numbers, and they're like, we want to wait. He wasn't a problem last year. He was putting in his work. He's getting better every year. Pay the man his money, because we see what happened with DeAndre Ayton. They didn't want to give him an extension. Then he got his money, and then it was kind of like, look, I'll give you guys what I got. Right? So that's my only thing, is that we can talk about 76ers and two max spots, but like there's also a young stud here that they're like, we're going to hold off on paying you, and you understand from a franchise space, but the player and the individual might take that a little different.
Second youngest player for the 76ers ever to average 20 a game. The only one that was younger, Allen Iverson. But just before we go to break real quick, Ramona, this doesn't close the door for him for the future to come to one of those long-term deals. It's just in this moment, that's what they're saying to Tyrese Maxey.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.